You know, we're a few weeks into this shelter in place thing and still working out the kinks in our live stream system, in our home. How about you? Are you still working out the kinks and everything that's going on in your household? Hopefully by now people are settling in. Hopefully your families are settling in, you've settled in. I know for us, it's been a very interesting transition. We've all gone through our our times of grief, and we've all gone through our times of gratitude. And we're starting to settle into a new routine. We're starting to settle into kind of how we can all cohabitate together. We've got, in our family, we've got five of us together in a 1,900 square foot house here in beautiful Palo Alto. So it's a little tight, but it's very interesting. Everybody finds their way to either come together and then to disperse, to have their quiet time, and then come together and disperse. So it's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun actually. I think I've heard this term periodically called the new norm. We're in the new normal, and quite frankly, I don't like that term. That's just me. I don't believe that term because I think what we're doing, what we're in, is simply in an experience in this present moment. And when we say those words, I think what we're really looking for, I think what we're really trying to find is a sense of routine, a sense of connection and groundedness that allows us to really connect with each other, connect with ourselves, connect with God, Spirit, the Allness, whatever you want to call it, but have that sense of groundedness when we talk about the new normal. And there are wonderful opportunities that I've discovered through this, even through times of grief. And looking out into the world, there's been some things happening that have nothing to do with coronavirus and have nothing to do with our current situation. What is really interesting for me, I think, is what I've noticed anyways, is that we've gone through an opportunity of looking at new things and looking at things differently. At least I have. For us, everything is kind of changed a little bit from our routines. I'm no longer, my spiritual practice has even shifted. I don't have my normal routine for that anymore. And what I've noticed is that I've been very busy and worked on keeping busy, either through this live stream, this last week, I was in licensing and ordination interviews with wonderful people, wonderful up and coming brilliant ministers in the Unity movement through the field licensing program, through the field ministry program. I got to get the name right. But what I've noticed is that certain things have shifted, like my spiritual habits, my walks, my hikes, even my daily workout routine has gone by the wayside. Okay, I can't back that up. That daily workout routine went by the wayside years ago. But if I wanted a daily workout routine, now is the perfect time for me to create one, for me to shift my focus. And I think that's really where we're at in this phase of this experience. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to simply start to shift. Now, what I've noticed in the in-between times are some of the amazing things that we can experience in life. Just the other day, became very aware of the sweet sound of the birds singing in the morning. I was out in my backyard while I was working one day, and the big bush next to me is flowering, and you could just hear the hum of the honeybees just buzzing around, doing their honeybee thing. And it was an amazing experience just to be able to sit there and listen to that hum. I've noticed in my life, our family has really pulled together. As I mentioned, we've been through periods of grief, each of us in our own way, and we will go through that again, I'm sure. But we've also gotten the opportunity to really pull together and know that we're all in this together. That regardless of what's happening around our circumstances, around our work, our school, online classes, online dance classes, however it's working out, online baseball coaching, we're making it work. And we're coming together when we need to, when there's times when we need to share in doing different chores and sharing responsibilities, and know when it's time for one person to have a little breather, a little time out. So that's one of the wonderful things that we have been experiencing. And it's really becoming aware of those ideas, those things that I've haven't noticed as much recently. That makes me realize that in this change, in this shift in our consciousness, in this shift of our ability to exist, to live, to go about our daily life, there's a great opportunity. There's a great opportunity for us to change, for us to grow into something new. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about the idea that, you know, the earth is doing a reset, the earth is doing a reboot, that there's a shift. And I've heard news stories about, you know, dolphins coming back to where dolphins hadn't been in years, and birds coming back, and how nature is really rebounding. Well, it's a great opportunity for us to make a shift internally as well, because we have been set up in living life through really automatic routine behaviors. And now that all of our behaviors, all of our routines have been disrupted, instead of slipping into a victim mentality or a despair mentality or a fear mentality, we have the opportunity to move into a spiritual consciousness, move into a state of awareness that lifts us up, where we experience tremendous growth. So it's not only an opportunity, but I really think it's a responsibility. It's an opportunity for us to release all of our old patterns, to create new healthy routines, and to create new healthy routines in the world, not only for ourselves, for our families, for the planet. It's an opportunity for us to carve out those disempowering and automatic behaviors, and for us to give focus on establishing and deepening our spiritual routines, raising our spiritual consciousness as we raise the consciousness of the collective. Now, this is the theme for this year, of course, as you may know, is the Roaring 2020s. And our idea was expressing our spiritual magnificence, making 2020 just a spiritual revolution, a spiritual enrichment, a raising of consciousness. And I thought of this at the beginning of the year, and little did I know, here's the perfect opportunity for us to do that. And we need to do it. I think it's our responsibility to do it. And so as we move into this idea, we can move out of that phase of knowing, of feeling fear and victimness and being disheartened, moving out of that, moving out of our automatic behaviors, moving out of our routines that are dysfunctional and disempowering, and creating routines that are empowering, that are healthy, that bring more life into our relationships, that breathe more life into our physical body, that breathe more life into the world around us. And it's a great opportunity for us to really focus on what I call that truth of who we are, right? That higher consciousness, that higher awareness. You know, I sometimes call it's when my evil twin Skippy isn't out and about. You know, it's like when you're hangry and hangry, and your evil twin Skippy comes out, and see, those are patterns that we can shift in ourselves. Now, not everybody likes it when I say my evil twin Skippy, so maybe I'll say my shadow side Skippy. Is that better? Hopefully that resonates with some people. But the whole point is that we have these behaviors and these patterns that put us in this mentality, that get us into there, and we have complete power. We are empowered. We have the dominion over our consciousness, over our thoughts, over our words, and over our actions to shift out of that. And now it's the perfect time to start creating brand new healthy patterns. In fact, it's time for us to really see ourselves as the increasing expression of divine potential. That increasing expression of divine potential that we're meant to be. We're meant to spiritually grow. We're meant to express all of that. And there's an interesting idea, you know, we call that the Christ consciousness and unity. That word may not resonate with you. It might be a divine potential, the Buddha mind, the divine spark, or simply your higher consciousness, where we're coming from a place of poise, where we're coming from a place of peace and calm within us, so that we can express that out into the world. The Apostle Paul reminded us of this when he talked about the Christ in you, your hope of glory. So it's that state of mind, that consciousness that Eric Butterworth talks about, that's the allness within us. And it's always there. And that's the good news. It's always available, even in our darkest moments, even in the times when we're feeling disheartened, or we're feeling fear, or we're feeling stress. All we have to do is take a breath and remind ourselves that we are one with that allness of life, that divine love flows in, through, and as us, that divine wisdom guides us every step of the way. So it's an opportunity, I think, for us to put into practice those patterns, those practices that will really strengthen that, so that when we do come out of this, and we will, that we will not be living this new normal. We'll be living an even greater normal. We'll be creating an even greater opportunity and expression out into the world. Now, there's this idea that you may have heard that I've spoken about before: let God be God in you. And I like the reading this morning that I did early. It was from Eric Butterworth, where he equates God to the word allness. Because when we talk about God, depending on your upbringing, depending on where you are in your spiritual path, you might think of that word as that being out in the sky, up in the clouds, judging us, granting us things, and so forth. But in Unity, we look at it more from the perspective of the God and God in us, as Paul said, that Christ in you, that divine principle that is within you, that is within all people. It's the allness that is within you. It is where we live and move and have our being. And so we look at it from the perspective of the allness within us. We can see that the allness is the life in which we live and move and have our being. The allness is all the substance in which our supply is formed, all the love which comforts and uplifts us, all the peace now fulfilling our minds and hearts. The allness is the intelligence flowing through our minds as divine ideas that we can take hold of and bring into manifestation, to bring into our lives, to create a greater expression of who we are and a greater expression in our relationships, in our creativity, in our jobs, in our retirements, in our meditation, in our mindfulness, by simply being tuned into that idea, tuned into that higher expression of who we are. It's an opportunity for us to really sink into that, to know that divinity within you. And it's an opportunity for us to know our unity in that allness, knowing that we are all one. We are maybe each an individualized expression of this divine, each with our unique traits, each with our unique skills and strengths. And yet together, we're all one. Together we are whole. Together we are the choir in the song. We are the unity. Now, Eric Butterworth had a wonderful saying after every one of his talks. He would always end his talk with the word namaskar. And today we know namaskar, either namaskar or namaste. I don't know the grammatics of it enough, but the idea of this Sanskrit word is that the divine in me, the light in me, the spirit in me, salutes and honors the divine in you. The divine in me honors the divine in you. And that's really the state of consciousness that we're called to become. We're called to raise ourselves up so that we know that we, in and of ourselves, are living in that allness of life, but that each of us are living in that allness of life, that each of us are having our own individualized expression, and yet we have unity in that. And so our practice, we're going to get to the release and renews in a moment, but one of the practices that we can do, a very simple practice, is as soon as we see somebody, we make eye contact, we simply silently say to ourselves, Namaste. The divine in me honors the divine in you. I think that practice is the key to many things, including healing, including forgiveness. Because my ego consciousness may not forgive you for whatever you've done to me, but the divine in me can honor the divine in you. And when I come from that perspective, I can let go of my own attachments to that unforgiveness. It doesn't mean that I have to welcome you in my home if I really don't like you. But I can still forgive you. I can still be safe and not be a doormat and still forgive you. Because forgiveness is really the idea of letting go of the power that my negative thinking about you is holding over me. And when I come from that perspective of that divine in me, that divine in me can certainly forgive that divine in you. And when I come from that perspective, I'm able to release and let go and forgive. Namaste is a wonderful way to just have a great interaction with somebody, to let them know that you are thinking of their highest good. Namaste is a wonderful way to set within yourself and know that in that oneness in the allness, that we are whole, that we are spiritually whole, that we are connected, and that we can have a positive influence on each other. Now, the practice that we've been doing this week is from our Lent book, Fasting and Feasting. And this week, we're going to be focusing on releasing some things and focusing on renewing on others. So, confusion. I fast from confusion. I sweep away doubt and fear. I let go of perplexing thoughts. I turn away from confusion. I focus on a simple phrase, whispering, peace, be still. I make time for the quiet. I acknowledge my divine connection. And in that stillness, I release confusion. And in that space, I feast on clarity. I renew myself in clarity. I know that that divine wisdom is within me, demonstrating in beautiful ways through the people I meet and the experiences of today. As I become more aware and appreciate the acts of loving kindness all around me, they seem to multiply. I applaud my own ability to live and love from a generous, kind heart. With certainty, I know that I do not travel this life journey alone, that love does prevail, and that the light of the divine shines forth clearly all around me. As we go through this week, let us fast from confusion and renew ourselves with clarity. And in so doing, I fast from resistance. Change, the only constant in the universe, is not always easy to accept or manage. And right now we are in the middle of a boatload of change. When I understand that my resistance creates my own suffering by resisting reality, the pain becomes an excellent barometer of life. It tells me I am holding on to an idea of how life should be, an old dream of what might be, or a longing for what was. And we can have compassion for ourselves. In that spiritual moment of compassion and understanding, we can release all resistance. And as we release resistance, we feast on acceptance. We renew ourselves with acceptance. Acceptance opens the door to my infinite good. I begin to look for solutions and possibilities in moments of acceptance. I can access the infinite potential of life itself and the divine. Those limitless possibilities are no longer blocked by my resistance. And so today I lift my consciousness, understanding that divine life, love, and wisdom is at work in every situation, and bringing love, acceptance to every aspect of my life. I acknowledge that in each moment there is the activity of the presence of divine love, and I choose to bring that love forward with my thoughts, words, and actions. I know that God is present in my life and in every situation. And so this week, let us fast from resistance and let us feast on acceptance. As always, not as always, but every once in a while, my mom will send me a text, and she sent one this morning, so I want to read it to you, if I can find her text. Because I thought this was beautiful, and I thought this makes it really simple. Life is a journey, and love is the spark. which leads me always out of the darkness of the soul. In spirit I am perfect, in truth I am whole. And with that, let us take that into our time of prayer and meditation.